Hi, boys and girls. Today I'm going to read to you a story that I have loved for a long time since I was a little girl. And it's by Leo Lionni. You may know him from other books he's written. And it's called Frederick. Frederick. All along the meadow where the cows grazed and the horses ran, there was an old stone wall. In that wall, not far from the barn and the granary, a chatty family of field mice had their home. You notice the beautiful watercolors, the illustrations? But the farmers had moved away, and the barn was abandoned, and the granary stood empty. And since winter was not far off, the little mice began to gather corn and nuts and wheat and straw. They all worked day and night, all except Frederick. Frederick, why don't you work? They asked. I do work, said Frederick. I gather sun rays for the cold, dark winter days. And when they saw Frederick sitting there staring at the meadow, they said, And now, Frederick? I gather colors, answered Frederick simply, for winter is gray. And once Frederick seemed half asleep. Are you dreaming, Frederick? They asked reproachfully. But Frederick said, Oh no, I am gathering words, for the winter days are long and many, and we'll run out of things to say. The winter days came, and when the first snow fell, the 5 little field mice took to their hideout in the stones. In the beginning, there was lots to eat, and the mice told stories of foolish foxes and silly cats. They were a happy family. But little by little, they had nibbled up most of the nuts and the berries, the straw was gone, and the corn was only a memory. It was cold in the wall, and no one felt like chatting. Then they remembered what Frederick had said about sun rays and colors and words. What about your supplies, Frederick? They asked. Close your eyes, said Frederick, as he climbed onto the big stone. Now I send you the rays of the sun. Do you feel how their golden glow feels on your skin? And as Frederick spoke of the sun, his 4 little mice brothers and sisters began to feel warmer. Was it Frederick's voice? Was it magic? And how about those colors, Frederick? They asked anxiously. Close your eyes again, Frederick said. And when he told them of the blue periwinkles, the red poppies, the yellow wheat, and the green leaves of the berry bush, they saw the colors clearly, as if they had been painted in their minds. And the words, Frederick. Frederick cleared his throat, waited a moment, and then said from a stage. He said, "Who scatters snowflakes? Who melts the ice? Who spoils the weather? Who makes it nice? Who grows the four-leaf clovers in June? Who dims in the daylight? Who lights the moon? Four little field mice who live in the sky, four little field mice like you and I. One is the spring mouse who turns on the showers. Then comes the summer mouse who paints all the flowers. The fall mouse is next with walnuts and wheat, and winter is last with little cold feet. Aren't we lucky the seasons are four? Think of the year with one less or one more." When Frederick had finished, they all applauded. "But Frederick," they said, "you are a poet." Frederick blushed, took a bow, and shyly said, "I know it." Boys and girls, what work did Frederick bring to the field mice family? I want you to think about that. Sometimes we can get bogged down in school, especially if some of our classmates are better at math, some of our classmates might be better at reading, some of our classmates might be better at PE, but we all have gifts. Frederick's gift, of course, was when the days were cold and dreary and they didn't have food. What gifts did he bring? Well, he brought the imagination. He brought the sunlight to where it was cold and dreary and gray. He brought words that spoke to the field mice, that brought them happiness and joy. He brought colors back to their minds and made very gray, brown days colorful. So you see, boys and girls, Frederick was working. He was doing his part for the family, even though at the time his brothers and sisters did not feel like he was working as hard as they were. He was, just in a different way. And I want you to be thinking about that as you go through school. There'll be some things you can do wonderfully, some things you struggle with, some things you can't do. And that's okay, because just like Frederick, we all have our gifts to share with the world. Maybe your gift is you are kind and compassionate to people when they need it most. Maybe your gift is that when someone is hurting, you can rush in and help them. Maybe your gift is that you can produce poetry or art to make people happy. Or maybe you're a singer and you write songs that make people forget that there's so much trouble. See, so it's not, the things we learn in school are not the only gifts that people have. They're not the only things that you are good at. You need to find your own gifts. What do you like doing? What are you good at doing? Maybe those things are taught in school, maybe they're not. I want you to really think about where your Frederick is, where your gifts are. Sometimes they're not in school, boys and girls. Sometimes we have to use what we learn in school, but then also develop and learn outside of school. Never forget, you're always learning. You're always learning. You won't be in school forever, but you will be a learner forever. Keep that in mind. Have a Frederick kind of day. Until next time, keep reading, boys and girls.